Yeah. Hey,
Test things out.
you have to.
Yeah. So this is our first time using this. So all of the grace ever. Of course, this is the same time that Captain Rascals and Scuzzy want to wrestle.
Of course it is.
So you might hear some tussling in the background.
That's fantastic.
So can you see on your phone what this portrait view looks like in live? Because otherwise it says that I should have changed it. So, but we need it for recording. I don't know if it's recording right now.
Oh, interesting.
Fun times. Okay, so let's check on our phones.
It's under Instagram right now.
Yeah, Wit and Reason's Instagram.
Wit and Reason. Okay.
I don't see it.
Me neither.
Oh, look, record. Save to cloud. I have to upgrade. We're gonna have to do this all over again for the show.
Which part?
All of it.
Oh, all of it? We have to do the all over again?
Let me just.
Also, I don't see you on live.
Right? Me neither.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you keep on looking for Wit and Reason live because it says that we are.
We are not on Instagram or where?
Yes, Instagram, Wit and Reason.
No, we are not. We're not live.
Well, that's good.
Which is good.
Because I need to update this thing. Rascals, leave it.
Yeah, Rascals, leave it.
These two.
Mm-hmm. They are difficult.
Okay, so you're making sure that we're not live right now, right?
We are not live.
That'd be very embarrassing. Tell me about your life while I fix these technical issues.
Tell me about that.
Entertain us.
Okay.
And, boost up your energy because it's like you're still in therapist mode. It's very like low and slow.
Okay, fine. I'll do it. It's there. Hi, what's up?
Tone it down. Find a middle ground.
Find a middle. Thanks. Appreciate that.
Yes.
Yeah, no, so yeah, the life is good. We're busy here at Luna de Honey's retreat over at Rooted and working on different things. So cleaning every room, getting everything squared away and reset, collecting various items. Like, I don't understand why people leave weird things here. They just leave weird things here.
An update to what the hell you're talking about. Not everyone knows what Luna de Honey is.
Luna de Honey is
especially since we're on Wit and Reason right now. I have two businesses. I found Wit and Reason, our mental health consultation and practice. Hi, Rascal. And yes, you are the mascot of all things mental health.
Yeah.
But then we've co-founded Luna de Honey.
Yes. So Luna de Honey is a wellness space. I don't design and creative wellness spaces. Like, this is the retreat that we proof of concept. It is gorgeous. It is out in the middle of the woods. It is amazing and beautiful. And I'm making sure that it stays amazing and beautiful by doing some updating, including a pipe in the middle of a snowstorm. So everyone in the DMV knows about how much of a snowstorm's happening. But yeah, there you are.
That's true. All right. So this is saying that it's live on Instagram.
It is not.
Ay.
It is a lie.
I put in the stream key, which it told me to do.
Okay.
We may have just. Can you check YouTube?
YouTube. Wait, hold on. Wait. Oh wow! Hey, there we are.
We're working on technical difficulties.
We're now on Instagram.
We are geriatric millennials, and
we're now on.
and we're figuring out how to, hi puppy, drop it. She gave me a little toy. Rascals. All done. Hey, what's up? I'm Dr. Alexis Moreno. Alex.
And I'm Alex.
Therapist and husband. You are currently away, which is unusual. Just today, I had someone say, like, are you guys ever in the same room together?
All the time, like all day, every day, usually. Well, not when I'm seeing clients, but yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, usually we're like in each other's space
all the time,
working and living together in close quarters. And so this is one of the rare occasions where you are far away.
I am, but enjoying my time in the quiet abundance of snow.
It's really peaceful up there. So you're up in Lost City, West Virginia, population of less than 500, but 2 hours from DC.
Yep.
So that's cool.
With amazing people out here, but I don't see them because right now I'm working on the house and ensuring that our next guest will have a glorious and wonderful, relaxing, wellness-based time.
Yes. So for those of you who weren't listening, when we first did our live launch, aka welcome TikTok and welcome Instagram, YouTubers, you've been here the whole time. So update, Alex and I are not only both mental health professionals, but we're also married.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't see that one coming. I did not aspire to marry a therapist. That was like, I was not.
Yeah.
I actually I actually was like intentional about not dating therapists or people in mental health.
Sorry?
and then there you are. Best decision ever made in my entire life.
Thanks.
And so I founded Wit and Reason, which is our mental health consultation and therapy practice, mental health. And then Alex and I co-founded putting wellness and psychology into design with Luna de Honey.
You see it all of the time in all sorts of ways, whether it's marketing or interior design or, I don't know, ergonomics.
Yeah.
But I mean, we don't put it all together in some nice tidy package for like your home away from home, out in your home. I think that's why people love Marie Kondo for a chunk, why she got so popular.
Right.
That stuff. But yeah, so we do that now for anybody who's interested.
Yes. And so that's like a cool way of us and taking a break from some of the intellectual consultation work that we do and the
therapy stuff,
emotional labor of clinical work that we do, and then actually get to like play and design and see something tactile come to fruition. It's cool to see all the change in our clients that we work with, but it is also nice for our brains to be able to have something that was like physically, environmentally a hot mess that we can transform into something gorgeous and functional and fun.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a wonderful creative endeavor. It's a great aspect of expression. And it's also like that instant gratification, if you will, since it's, like there, you did it. It's with your own hands. Like it's, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been a wonderful experience.
That's been fun. And so how have things been for you today? And working with people, I've been working with a variety of different types of clients. When I say clients, I can mean anything from workplace and media consultation to performance coaching, dating, wellness. I work with a wide variety of people and needs. Alex, your clients also range as well. Yeah.
I mean, I see individuals, I see couples. I do a lot of more traditional therapy, but I also do a lot of like, executive work and in executive spaces and coaching in that realm too, and process improvement. But yeah, today was a great day of seeing people who are interested in making change in their lives. And I think that, it's the start of it's the start of something when people are processing things and engaging in things to talk about change, right? When they get into therapy for the first time. And even talking about changing for other, in fact, I had a good question today about how do I help other people make change, not me, but how do they, as the client was asking, how do they kind of look at making changes or assisting other people in change?
Was it one of those situations where it's like, I have a question for a friend? It's not for me. It's for
it was legitimately a friend. They were looking out for somebody, and they were kind of dealing with
I'd hope they feel comfortable just being direct with you and saying hey, I have this issue and I need some help. Yes. Right. Versus, I mean, when we're out and about in public, then people might do the poll of I have this friend that has this issue. Okay, so you were working with someone who actually legitimately had a friend who needed some help with some things.
Yeah, well, they're looking at making changes in their lives. They're kind of hey, look, I see my friend going down this path. They talked about different aspects of maybe a bit of drinking, a bit of maladaptive behaviors, the negative things that we do. Maybe a little self-destructive, maybe not so wonderful, and kind of going down a path. And they felt a little helpless around that thing. They didn't quite know how to have the conversation. It was interesting to kind of work with them on that because, I mean, as a therapist, there's a therapist answer to that.
Right.
As a friend, how do you talk to your friends about those things or people you're close with? Or,
yeah. And that's the thing that, I mean, as clinicians, as therapists, psychologists, counselors, I mean, you're trained to provide interventions, ideally evidence-based interventions, with the person right directly in front of you. Yeah. Right. And so you might have an approach and answer to that as that person's therapist, if that person was having those issues, but to try to guide someone to help someone else, we're not necessarily trained to do that unless I had specialties in community psychology.
Yeah.
Where I'm researching and creating training programs for people and prevention programs, where I'm training other people. I am certified as a mental health first aider, facilitator. So I get to train and certify other people, lay people who don't have clinical training, just anyone, how to respond to a mental health crisis. And that's kind of what your friend, it seemed like
I kind of thought of you about that. Yeah.
Yeah, not your friend. Sorry. The person you were working with seems like they needed that kind of education, right?
Yeah, because it's definitively not something you want to talk about in therapy as much, because you're hey, I don't want to spend time with talking about how you want to help your friend.
Yeah.
Because it's your therapy.
Right.
You may need therapy, but that's not fair. I don't know. So
exactly. And so, yeah, that's totally fair. And then you also, as a therapist, you're wondering okay, is this person just distracting from what we're really trying to work on in therapy by talking about their friends' issues?
That happens too.
But as a certified mental health first aider, you would know the appropriate way to help someone else who might be in crisis, right? Yeah. And one of the main takeaways I like from this when you're trying to help someone else is number one, well, one of the ways, a couple of the ways that I like that mental health first aid teaches is that not everyone is necessarily going to be aware, let alone ready for change, even if it's something as serious as alcohol abuse or any kind of risky behaviors. And so that's the first thing to keep in mind if you're a friend who's legitimately concerned about another friend. And then the other part is, and a lot of the concern is I don't want to, shame them or criticize them or make them feel any kind of certain way. And so a nice approach that we like to teach in mental health first aid is this kind of three-piece statement, which is for some people, blank is helpful. So for some people, counseling, private counseling is helpful. For other people, a peer support group about this issue is helpful. But the important thing is to figure out what's going to be the most helpful for you. And so with that statement, you get to open up the door to let's explore getting like some more professional. Number one, let's address this issue. And then number two, let's get some kind of professional support to help you. Because me and your friend, there's only so much I could do, right? Because this is a very serious, concerning issue. And so what I like about that statement is that it's not putting someone into like, you need to go to therapy, right? It's not doing that, but it's showing the very real options of, hey, there's therapy, there's support groups, there's even like self-help stuff or books or, and so when we go over all the different, options that are available to people and what's best for different levels of concern, and pitch it to your friends that way, And what I like about it as well is that it focuses on like, and we need to figure out what's right for you. And so it's kind of like supportive, it's collaborative. I really like that statement.
Nice. I think mental health first. I think everybody should be doing it. I think everyone should have CPR and everyone should have mental health first aid. Just as like CPR first aid, right? So like, like Heimlich maneuver and the CPR stuff, but also like mental health first aid. I think everyone should have it.
Yeah, I agree. See, so if the person you were working with was mental health first aid trained and certified, they know the answer to that question. And we do this a lot in like workplaces or for community organizations. I also personally train cast and crew for on-set productions because a lot of stuff could come up when filming for film, television. It's just a high pressure, unique situation. And so we have a special mental health first aid for that setting as well that I train in. And so what's cool about it though is that it is generalizable. Even if you learn it at work, aka work's paying for it, you can still apply those things to your neighbor or to your best friend or to your family member. And so I think we should definitely keep on talking this up, like not just like, yes, go to therapy, support yourself, and let's all learn how to support our loved ones as well.
I love it.
Yeah. And so I'm glad that we're focusing on change and the people that we work with are focusing on change. Let's talk about the news a little bit.
You had something, well, you wanted to ask me a question. I can't remember what it was, but go for it.
Well, I was wondering if you heard the news about the risk of alcohol and cancer.
I mean, what day of the week is it? Is it something always going to give you cancer? I haven't heard that one. Alcohol and cancer. No, I don't. I mean, I guess it makes sense. It's a substance you're putting in your body. I don't know. Yeah, no, I haven't heard of it.
It's technically a poison.
Yeah.
And so what's been all over the news, I don't know if you all who are watching and listening have heard, is that in the news, they're saying that the research out there is clear. There's a clear link between alcohol consumption and increased risk of various types of cancer. And so much so that they're advocating to get one of those cancer risk labels on alcohol like they do for cigarettes now. And so my big question to you all, to you, Alex, and to you watching and listening, is if there was something that you could do to help prevent cancer, would you do it?
I mean, sure, but I guess it would I think you're talking about like diminishing returns in some way, right? Like, I mean, so when it comes to like alcohol, like, do I have to give up all alcohol forever to then get the benefit of then possibly not having cancer? Because I feel like that's like a drink. I mean, I don't get drunk. I don't like drinking that much. So when it comes to those things, like for me,
it's really cute.
Yeah. Like I have a drink because I enjoy like a process of making of alcohol, just like I do love food or love, it's wine or spirits or
Okay.
anything, like anything that's like really crafted. I love the artistry that's part of that thing.
Mhm.
And so I love the taste and I love all these other things, like just like I love coffee. I don't want to waste my time with terrible coffee. I make good coffee.
Right.
And so, when it
And
comes down
so even with that artistry,
Mhm.
is it worth a cancer risk?
But how much see, that's what I'm saying, like diminishing return. Like I could give up that for the possibility of possibly not having cancer. Like that's the thing. It's not going to guarantee that I don't have cancer.
So it's linked. So for example, alcohol is linked to seven types of cancer: breast cancer in women. You always got something. And mouth, liver, throat. I mean, it keeps on going. Let's talk about those percentages though. So what the key findings are is that any level of alcohol consumption can increase cancer risk. So even at moderate or low levels. And so for breast cancer, for example, risk increases by approximately 7 to 10% per 10 grams of alcohol consumed daily. So it's about like one drink.
Okay, 10 grams. So you have to drink if you're talking about drinking every day. See, I don't know. Like I can't quantify this. Like in my head, it's not. I mean, it's interesting that people write these things and have the definitive numbers, but like
Oral and throat cancers begin to rise significantly even with low levels of drinking. Oh my gosh. Heavy drinking over time is associated. And then I hate it when they use like that generic kind of language. Like, what the hell does that mean?
that's what I mean. Like it's both very specific, like 10 milligrams, but also
I
like
appreciate very specific. Like, tell me exactly
well,
what
but
it.
translate it to like actual like what it looks like as a human being.
Yeah. Say more about that.
Like, all right, so for example, like a cocktail versus like 10 milligrams, or like, are we talking about drinking grain alcohol? Is there a difference between spirits and alcohol, like other types of spirits? Is there because of sugars, because of this? Because what is causing the cancer when it comes to the alcohol? Is it just literally the alcoholic part? So then could you drink like a really low or no alcoholic thing, and then that leads to less risk of cancer? Like, do you see what I mean? Like, I don't know.
No
I get it.
alcohol, you have a baseline cancer risk.
Yeah.
Moderate drinking raises cancer risk by 10 to 20%. That's a lot. I think for me, what I struggle with is, I guess it's the anxiety of like, God forbid I get some kind of cancer. I have cancer risks in my family. That's also stuff you have to consider.
Mhm.
And if I'm on my deathbed, I'm like, fuck, I shouldn't have drank so much alcohol. I think I just don't want regrets,
Sure. But
both being too rigid and restrictive and not having fun. Like right now, I'm not eating any gluten or sugar. It sucks, but it's working. And then, but then also like, what if something like this happens and I'm like, such an, I shouldn't have drank alcohol. I could have done something. I could have done more.
But the idea is, can you drill it down to the exact thing in which gave you cancer, which you can't?
Yeah.
That's also part of it. So like, there's a lot of different foods that are pretty not wonderful for us. There's sun. There's all sorts of other associated risks for all sorts of other things.
You have skin cancer.
So how do you narrow it down to the exact number in which you're walking around, and like, do you then live your life mitigating risk? And I think like for me, like there's a lack of like immediate consequence for potential delayed consequence.
Yes.
Potential, not even realize, like just ups your percentage, potential delayed consequence. So like that's a really hard thing to navigate in your head, because like that's somewhere down the line something may happen that could possibly be linked to this one thing, but most likely linked to with several other things.
I mean, the fear-based risk stuff works for me as a motivating factor. Like growing up, the DARE program, apparently research shows the DARE program get kids off of drugs didn't work across the board. It worked for my personality. My anxious-based personality was like, oh hell no, I don't want to deal with with those kinds of consequences. Cigarettes as well. As like we had a member in our family who had cancer from smoking. And I'm going like this because he had
the trach.
Yeah.
The tracheotomy.
I grew up with that, seeing it firsthand. And so that, I've never smoked cigarettes. I tried cigars, but like that was never anything interesting to me. And so that works for me, but that's not everyone's personality. Other people, like you're saying, are focused more on the instant gratification. And I do kind of struggle with that when it comes to enjoying a gorgeous craft cocktail or a glass of wine or something. So I feel you on that.
And there's an amount of like, I mean, we move towards things that kind of bring us some joy, and we avoid some of the pain and suffering around the other stuff, or we avoid stuff because by doing something we feel like we really enjoy or engage in that way. Like, I mean, so then people go and have, and then here's the thing, that's why it becomes such an addictive thing, because people avoid to the point where they're like, oh, now I'm drinking regularly to avoid things. Like, we do have a pleasure principle there, where we're kind of moving towards pleasure as opposed to the mundane things that we have to deal with constantly. So there's some like balance we have to create, but like, how do you make this meaningful? So if you're going to make some change, like say you want to cut alcohol, what does that like actually mean to make positive change?
And I think it's important to think about, obviously, all of the consequences, both the potential risk, like future-based risk that might happen in the future, in the short and in the midterm, short term. Smoking was never interesting to me because immediately I was experiencing consequences of like smells and taste. I tried a cigarette, but like I could smell it on other people. I could imagine what it would taste like. So none of that did anything for me. And so we have the immediate gratification of some things, but then as a deterrent, we could have it might be helpful to focus on like the immediate, what would you call it? Disgust or the immediate like consequence of something.
Immediate consequence, right? So like,
or having dating issues, because
if you're smoking and you wake up coughing the next day, you have immediate consequence. You taste something differently because you're smoking.
The next day, I wouldn't necessarily count the next day consequences as immediate, because.
But people who smoke will notice the correlation between the two quite easily.
That's people who drink and get hung over all the time, or even like the night they're sick. I think immediate's like in the moment.
I feel like it's close. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's close enough for immediate. That's kind of immediate, because like, you start hacking and because you usually don't start hacking and coughing immediately after having a cigarette, but like you smoke several cigarettes the next day, you may not be breathing as well as you did the day before. Just because your lungs are literally inhaling something that it's having trouble processing. And I mean, like for example, like vaping, it becomes so behavioral because it doesn't actually affect your lungs. There's no actual immediate consequence for things like vaping. And so people become really habitual around it. Yeah. And
I'm glad that wasn't around when I was a kid, because then the flavors and everything, that's really tough, because you get that there's like almost less immediate consequence and more immediate gratification. So that could be a challenge. Fun times we're living in, where everything gives us cancer.
Well, but to go back to like so how do you make that sustainable or kind of viable like kind of adjustment or change? Like I think of like values-based or like value-based decision making and around like what is really useful for you to like setting those goals.
We'll go into solutions in a little bit. Let's check in with people who are live streaming with us right now via Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube. My apologies. This is my very first time live streaming on multiple channels at the same time. So I'm like trying to click over to Instagram and see if there's any comments in there. I see people who've joined us. Welcome. I don't see any comments in there. In this platform that I'm using, I have a message center here, but I don't see I don't see any kind of hi. Send a comment, and so that way I could see if I could see it. YouTube connects here, so if you're on YouTube and you send a comment through our live, I could see it. We'll get this all figured out. It's our very first time. We're gonna practice some grace. self-compassion here as we navigate technology. But we do what we want as part of our show is to have that live interaction with you. So leave us a message, send us a comment about any kind of questions or challenges that you might be facing related to this current subject matter about like really having some long lasted, like healthy change in your life, whether it's, you know, not drinking alcohol anymore because of the cancer risk, or smoking, or even if you want to do more of something instead of reducing something. If you're focusing on like exercising more, or practicing more emotional regulation or healthy communication, dating more, there's all kinds of goals out there that people have. So whatever it is, whatever you're working on, challenges, questions you have around making long-lasting change, go ahead and put that in the comments for us. And if I don't see it now, we're going to see it after. And so we'll get to it. Alex, are you also watching us live on Instagram on your phone?
Yes.
Can you see, is anyone leaving comments? Can you see any comments?
No, a couple of highs and hellos and heys, but that's it.
Okay, cool. And then I don't see anything here on YouTube. And so in addition to like, we've talked about wanting to help our friends change, you know, if we have concerns about our friends, how to navigate that, I highly recommend getting mental health first aid trained, so you know how to navigate all levels of concern that you see in your coworkers, neighbors, friends, family. Check out the link in our bio, and I personally will train you in that, and help you get ready to help others. So helping friends through change, helping ourselves through change. And then another one, Alex, that people are ready for.
Yeah.
Even societal change.
Yeah.
Big societal change. And some people are very, very ready for what I see. I don't know if it's my algorithm, but very ready for like an apocalypse. or revolution.
Hey, yeah, all right.
And so I'm
really itchy.
I'm saving videos, and so I want to play one for you. We're also going to repost it on our show page. Someone who's just seems very ready for environmental and societal change.
Okay.
And I think it would be a good person to answer their question related to this.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. Here we go.
Give me good recommendations for like post-apocalyptic, parallel universe, quantum physics type shows or movies. Like I really like Fallout. I really like Black Mirror. I like Spider-Man Across the...
So people are ready. They're seeking it. They want to the point where it's like their zone out entertainment time is seeing either the world fall apart or preparing for the world changes that are coming, like AI. So what recommendations do you have for entertainment that is associated with significant, long-lasting change?
It's interesting because it depends. Like, I mean, as you look at the world and kind of want to look at like there's a whole genre of film and TV that talk about all this apocalyptic kind of end of the world, whether that's natural disaster, some biological hazard, like whatever is, could just be the collapse of the world as we know it. There's all sorts of things. And I think people move towards this for a lot of reasons. And I think one of them is because, number one, they look for change, or they feel helpless or hopeless in their own day-to-day lives. And they're looking for like serious, like upheaval or change in their vision of the world, because they need something to kind of like challenge where they're sitting at. With that in mind, there's a bunch of things that I think are really great. There are a bunch of movies. So like you could go to like things like post-apocalyptic things, like you could do zombie apocalypse movies and just look at all of the Walking Dead, all the different versions of that, kind of look at the world as you know it. You can look at things like Tenet, which is an odd Christopher Nolan movie that has like you moving through realities in a different way, or then you touch on things like what was the movie where they're in the dreams over and over again. I can't remember that one. The name Leonardo DiCaprio. Oh my god, I can't remember it right now.
Someone in the comments help Alex.
It's another Christopher Nolan movie. Perception? No. Anyway, but so
no one knows.
But I think then there's like, you know, post like collapse type of movies. They did one called like the DMZ that was on, I want to say Max, and I really enjoyed their kind of take on some of those things. But I mean, there's classic ones that are like cult films like Escape from New York or Escape from LA, which are like Kurt Russell going in as like this, you know, kind of gunslinging hero of some sort, kind of distorting thing. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of stuff out there.
Okay, we're gonna stitch the video with this TikToker and give them a full list, and then hopefully by that point you'll have the name of that.
I'll have like 20 and bang them out that way. So there you go.
Okay, so there's another video of someone kind of talking about change around emotional regulation or intellect enhancement.
All right, now you got me intrigued. Go for it. Go for it.
I think it's crazy that we have anger management, but we don't have stupidity management. I can't be mad, but you get to be dumb. That's very unfair. Especially because 99% of the time that I get mad, it's because somebody's doing something stupid. So you're just walking around as obtuse as you want to be, but it's a bunch of nagging and finger wagging the moment I say something about it. We need change in 2025. Either stop being stupid or deal with the consequences.
That is in alignment with a lot of the FAFO movement here.
There's just so much truth in that short TikTok.
Well, but I think the thing is, like, we have levels of awareness, like, and different people from different backgrounds gonna have different levels of awareness. There's different socialization that are engaged in, that they have to code switch, that I, for example, as a white man, don't have to code switch at all for most of my stuff. Like I can just sit around and be me all of the time, and I don't have to switch around. It's a huge privilege. It's an insane amount of privilege. And so I think of that all the time, because it's a lot of times people just not acknowledging that shift. And they're just kind of going through their life oblivious because they don't do any perspective taking. So I think stupidity has to do with like empathy as well, like emotional intelligence and emotional regulation, because it has to do with empathy. Huh?
Just social awareness, just like recognizing there are other people.
Requires empathy. That requires me to say that I'm emotionally grounded enough to understand how other people feel.
No, even besides feeling, like, just recognize I'm physically in front of you or next to you.
Yes, but they don't realize that thing because they don't understand. No, but
then
I would argue they would be more aware.
Don't walk into me, get out of my way, stop walking so slow. Seeing other human beings around you is an important change we need. and then having the awareness of, like, I wonder how, this person feels that I'm taking up all this space on this metro seat and they're like squished like this,
And I would say that still has to do with emotions. That's empathy.
Yeah. That's the empathy part. It's like thinking about putting yourself in someone else's shoes. Let's make that the change of.
Let's make empathy and emotional intelligence like the thing of 2025.
That would be a good change.
We're gonna have a lot of depressed people opening their eyes up to a whole new world of like, oh, I'm not the only narrative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true too.
Yeah.
That's true too. So I cover a lot of, I do these audio lessons on the Aura Health app. You can take a look at the link in our bio to get it's like a 30-day free access. But I also do a lot of little lessons that are also just totally free for people. And I break down emotional regulation, emotional intelligence, social awareness, empathy, like all the soft skills. Why do they call them soft? That's so obnoxious.
Because they don't have a tangible reality, except for the fact that they shape tangible reality. So whatever.
Yeah. So if you or anyone out there needs to like learn about this kind of stuff in a very practical way, I got you through the Aura Health app. You can check out through the link in our bio for that kind of stuff. But speaking of relationships, there was someone else. This will be our last one. I think it was this one. Oh, shoot. I might have to play it and find out. Let me see.
We talk a lot about love languages when meeting people. I would like to know, what's your conflict language? Are you avoidant? Are you direct? Are you rude? Will I feel safe, even in conflict with you? This tells me more about a person than their love language, because when the chips are down and when emotions take over, who are you? And are you still in control? Not only for how that impacts.
We're going to repost this one too. But speaking of change, enhancing relationship skills is something that a lot of people aspire to do, have goals around. And I love not only this person's voice, because it is oh so soothing, but also their take on love language and focusing more like, well, what about the conflict part?
Yeah. No, how well do you emotionally regulate? How well do you communicate via like in conflict? Because conflict is neither good nor bad. Like that's the thing that people miss out. Like they just don't get it. Like conflict is not good or bad. Conflict just is. If you have a differing opinion, I could say, oh, the best ice cream is chocolate. You can say vanilla. And neither of us are right or wrong. That's an opinion, so it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's not a problem. It's not pain-inducing there. It's just talking about these various aspects of conflict, like this difference in an idea or opinion. We're allowed to have that all over the place as long as we understand and move towards empathy and understand one another, right? So like, I love the idea of like conflict, like what's your conflict language? I think it also calls people out on like, do you have healthy communication? Because there are 4 types of communication. It's passive, passive-aggressive, aggressive, and clear and healthy, which people call assertive, but like people get assertive all the time.
People have been mislabeling assertive, so we have to spell it out even more.
I was like, if you stomp your foot and tell the truth, you're just being aggressively honest. Like that's
I was just being assertive.
Yep. No, it's being aggressive. You're just honest.
It's ugly.
So but the idea is that like, 3 out of 4 are not so healthy.
I said, I like your sweater, by the way. That was amazing. So even relationship stuff, when we're talking about change, there's so many challenges around making lasting change. And this is everything from you as an individual to helping your friends change to trying to help society and community change, and trying to help promote healthy change in your relationship or your family. There's a lot going on here, and it can be very challenging. And I'm loving the motivation that people have and the curiosity too that people have around like, well, what about this aspect of my life? And how can I enhance this? And how can I make healthy decisions for myself? And I think one of the biggest challenges that we face today is that we have a lot of information, like the news about, the clear link between alcohol use and cancer risk. So we have that information, but information doesn't equal behavior change.
No.
Otherwise, all of our medical doctors would be super healthy, and all of our psychologists would.
I was thinking you've heard me say this. It comes from Fight Club, both the book and the movie, but the book is amazing if you haven't read it. But like sticking feathers up your ass doesn't make you a chicken. Yeah, I know it's very eloquent, and very PC. But like you can have all of the information. It doesn't mean that it makes that you're changing something. Yeah. Like change is something that you have to engage in. That's why it's so important to find like the ways you can engage in positive change. How to do it, what to do about it, like how are you even setting it up for yourself? How do you like all of the information doesn't actually make you do it.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, we have some solutions. We're not just gonna
which is interesting because people always think of therapy as about talking about stuff, but no, it's about getting you to talk about stuff that you're going to go do because it's about doing something different.
And it depends on your orientation. I mean, some of it's just a lifetime of processing. Not my favorite.
Yeah. I mean,
and not evidence-based practice. There's more efficient stuff out there for you.
I'm not a forever therapist.
Yeah. Check-ins are good, but I mean, multiple times a week for your whole life and you're not experiencing any kind of change is
hey, if that's what you want to do with your time and energy and those things, great, cool. Go for it.
Yeah. Let's talk about for those of you who do want to like actually make like healthy decisions in your life and take action, make change. We talked about the difference between the challenges with the immediate gratification and things that we don't want to do anymore. And we also talked about the challenges and limitations of just focusing on like the far distance delayed consequences. And so with that, you want to keep in mind what is it in the here and now that is going to be impacted by this change. So you're focusing more on like, instead of the big picture, I'm never going to drink a drop of alcohol again. That's an awesome goal. And we have to talk about like, how do we get you there? You know, what are all the little decisions you need to make in order to accomplish this, for many people, life-altering goal?
Yeah. And do you make that decision like daily, or do you do that like carte blanche? Like, oh, I'm going to set this goal that's all or nothing based all the way down the line.
Yeah. And so in that frame of mind, it's thinking more sometimes moment to moment.
Day to day, moment to moment, one day at a time is what they say in like rehab, right? There's a reason for it because that's why behavioral change is one day, one choice at a time. And that's where, I mean, like, I feel like that's where the people who are really trying to make change, you hear them talk about definitive change through things like that. And I think that it's, again, because positive change has to do with like acknowledging what you're doing daily, acknowledging what you're engaged in daily, like really emphasizing what it means to you and kind of engaging in that practice. Because you don't, for example, even if it was just like working out, right? You just want to go to the gym, like making habits in around, say, like the gym. And right now everybody's going to try and go to the gym to make change, and all of a sudden it's going to be challenging.
I've been working out from home because I didn't want to deal with people at the gym or to have to wear a sports bra.
Yeah.
And so you figure out like what works for you, what are the barriers, and then working through each of those barriers to make it as easy and accessible for you to make that healthy decision for yourself that then helps you achieve those long-term goals.
But if you try and go, oh, like I'm gonna go to the gym 7 days a week or 5 days a week, and you go 1 day a week currently, or no days a week currently,
trying to go from 0 to 100. That's what I work with all of my clients on. Whenever they present some kind of goal, I'm like, that sounds awesome. Good. We're gonna focus on that. My next line of questioning is basically me trying to find out what is your baseline. So what are you doing? You know, this past week, 2 weeks, how has this been going for you? And so, and then recognizing and validating, if we focus on going from 0 to 100, from not working out at all to working out every day, it's going to be short-lived and you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah. How do you change and make it sustainable?
And then you're going to feel like shit about yourself.
Habit. Yeah. So that's what I think of. I think of value-based things. I think about positive things. I think understanding why you're doing it, where it resonates with you, how it leads to that potentiality of being the person you really want to be or believe you are. Yeah. Like those value-based things are where you need to live, because otherwise, like you're just kind of stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and that kind of like that incongruence just messes with with my brain, where people say, I value my family, you know, but then they're not making healthy decisions for themselves that helps them be present for their family.
Yeah.
That helps them stay alive and healthy and well for their family, right? Let alone for themselves.
Well, and it's because they're not looking at the problem from all of the different areas. And that's where I think that's also something in which, if you're goal setting, if you're setting some things in which you're trying to change and you're trying to achieve, that I love your point there. I love that idea, because you have to look at it from all areas and go, is this something that fits into all these other value sets? How does this affect all these other value sets?
Yeah. So like if there is some other kind of vice or addiction or substance abuse, or even just like not going to the doctors regularly.
Yeah.
How does that impact your family if they're concerned about you, or if you get sick, and then you pass it on to, your elderly parent that you're taking care of, or, the infant, who's also living with you in this generational household. The decisions that you're making in your life are not only impacting you, of course, but then they have this kind of ripple effect on every other aspect of your life.
Yeah.
Or your partner, your parents, your kids, your neighbors, your career. I mean, even if you just say like, all I value is money and my career. Guess what? If you're not following up with your doctor appointments, like you're a human being, you get sick and you can't make it to that big meeting or do that, big proposal.
Yep.
It's going to impact you,
Everything touches on everything.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And that's why even for us, we specialize in working with people in entertainment, tech, and in really like high pressured industries. And they see the consequences. they see the consequences of people who are not psychologically healthy or well, who are exhausted, who are overworked, who are not taking time to take care of themselves. They see the consequences of that when people aren't able to perform at their roles and responsibilities, like on set during a big multi-million-dollar production. And we just have to fill in those pieces there. I was like, you're experiencing the consequences with liabilities and financial issues regarding like all the extra pay that it's going to take to like, redo the scene, or just even with delay. This is all preventable.
Yeah.
Like to at least some extent.
People don't tie these things back to actual tangible things and how they see the reality. Again, emotional intelligence, right? You got to see how it fits into everything else. You got to set it up your value set. And then the other thing I think about is like, how do you make this thing really happen? And I mean, there's a lot of things that allow you to navigate change. There's tools out there. There's a lot of tools that I really like to help people navigate change. I think there's a lot of different ways in which you can approach it, whether it's creative and in creative endeavors, or like ways in which we make it a tangible thing, or like even if you talk to somebody and make them like a partner in your kind of wellness, and gym buddies, things like that are really useful. So like accountability partners, like there's so many ways to work through and create sustainable change, tools out there, all sorts of things. And I think that's where the world is available to you to go and do those things and actually utilize things that create sustainable change. So that's what I think of. Like, there's a lot of stuff out there. How do you sort through it? How do you kind of find the stuff that works for you specifically?
And that's where a solution-focused therapy approach, or some kind of like wellness coaching or executive coach. I mean, depending on what you want to focus in on. Wellness will cover everything. If you want to do executive, that's career leadership, performance coaching, dating, whatever it is. That's why it can be so helpful to have someone to kind of like work through all of these things and to really fine tune and curate your plan of attack.
Yeah.
And to support you through the trial and error, because it's going to take some tweaking. And even if you find something that works, or maybe you found something that worked in the past, things change, you change, your environment, your circumstances change. And so learning how to adapt with all of that as well along the way is so beneficial. And so we have some recommendations in the link in our bio. We have our, I like our title, Alex and Alexis's wellness picks. And so those are like very specific things that we use to help us. You'll notice that in our healthy change list, there are a lot of whiteboards because I am looking at them right now. I have a big one for planning. I have the calendar, and then I have like my to-do, and it has to be up and in my face, and I have to be able to edit it as needed. So
you also have to find tools that meet you where your brain is at. Like you love the visual stimulus of like things around to keep you in the loop of that thing. I have to like write things down. So like I don't have to see it, but once I write it down, I'm good.
Yeah.
But like I have to write it down. So like for me,
but if I don't see it, it's the object permanence issue for me. Out of sight, out of mind.
Peekaboo will still work for you? Did I disappear? Do I exist? Sorry.
And that's why technology has been so helpful, because even though it's like put away or it's like on my ring, I get notifications, and then it reminds me to do these things. We both actually use Peloton for staying healthy, especially while we're on the road. Because even if we don't have access to our bike, we use the app. And I'm also big on the social aspect of working out. And so a lot of my friends are on the app too. And then we get to support each other through the process. So when it comes to, and I've tried everything ever, but Peloton has been like a really big change, long-lasting change for me, because it has all of the different features I need.
And all right. So like when you look at like markers for like indicating change, right? Like, so like they have like a small class, a longer class, a shorter class. They have different varieties of people, different varieties of music. They also have like beginner, intermediate type of thing. So you can have a cross-sectionality of what you really need. Mm-hmm. That's what you have to look at when you look at change. So they do a good job at like looking at establishing patterns of behavior. So good for you, Peloton. But like, I think, and we're not sponsored by Peloton, by the way. No. But like the idea is that like any of those things, anything that you find that is multifaceted like that meets you where you're at, that's what we talk about. That's what you need.
Yes.
The sustainable change comes from you finding things that engage your value set, allow you to engage with your value set, make it present in the way that you think and experience the world. So if you're a visual learner, auditory learner, all the things that you learn in school, kinesthetic learner, experiential learner, like that didn't go away. That was still around. Like that didn't change. We just forgot about it in school and didn't do it ever again.
Yeah.
So go back to touching back on those things, you know?
I'm annoyed where the research is like, there's not really different types of intellect, but there are different types of ways that we engage in the world and that we learn and learn best, you know? So just continue to play around, call it play, continue to play around with trying out different things and seeing what works for you and what doesn't. Pay attention to that. Consider properly trained coaching, not someone who just self-proclaimed this ability and skill set, or therapy to help you guide through the process and to kind of explore a bit more. And then take a look at our resources. Again, we have our wellness picks, and then we have the Aura Health app, and you could get both. We have both meditations, stories, and then even like just educational lessons with journal prompts and practical steps. And also, you know, if you're interested in learning how to help others make healthy changes in their life too, whether it's at work, if you work in the entertainment industry, production, cast, and crew, we have mental health first aid specifically for on set for production, cast, and crew. And then we also have our general mental health first aid training. So you could get certified as a mental health first aider. So that way we can learn about, you know, how to take care of ourselves, but then also learn how to support and take care of others.
CPR, mental health first aid. Everybody out there, CPR, mental health first aid 2025, CPR, mental health first
aid. and emotional intelligence.
Sure. Yes. I'll package that one too.
We'll see. Well, thank you all for joining us so much. We totally went over time because I was very distracted on all this tech stuff. So I have if I am recording, I know I'm live. I don't know if I'm actually recording this discussion for our radio show. Alex is joining me as a co-host on my DC radio show, Wit and Reason. So it's now going to be called Wit and Reason with Alex and Dr. Alexis. I put his name alphabetical, and it just sounds nice. And so we'll be here every Tuesday evening. That's 7:30 p.m. East Coast time, 4:30 West Coast. So join us on either YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. I may throw FaceTime in there. Facebook. Throw that in there, and then we record this live. We interact with you all once we figure out how to, and then we put it on DC radio. It gets broadcasted within the week, and then we also turn it into a podcast. So you can also catch us wherever you get your podcast. Just search Wit and Reason. I don't know if they changed it. Say like with Dr. Alexis. That will pop up. Yeah. And then our shows will also be recorded and stored there on YouTube too. So we're everywhere. Come find us.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Alex, for joining me.
Of course, this is awesome. I miss you. Hi, it's nice to see you. But
I know. Your face looks a little like pink from the cold.
It's very cold.
He's out in West Virginia in the snowstorm.
It is, and I have the heater off because it's too noisy, so it's getting a little cold.
Okay. I'm gonna let you go so you can warm up.
Thanks. All right.
All right. Next week, though, we'll be in the same room having a discussion about something. We still have to figure out the topic. Let us know if you have any preferences.